Hello everyone and welcome back to another Batman Miniature Game 3rd edition battle report for the channel. Today the Deacon Blackfire cult are back, this time in full effect. The full release roster of 12 minis. It is a giant horde that you can see in the cluster in the middle of the map there. We'll go over them in a second, of course. And today they're going up against the Bat family, and once again the rules for teams are a little bit nebulous, based on what's in the old team PDF that hasn't been updated in a long time, based on what the app does when you make a team. Like, it does mention some of the old Bat family rules, but not others. It gives them a discount that isn't mentioned on the team PDF, and disappears once you've made the roster. Very strange. It really should be updated by this point. The app's been out for, is it 2 years now? Maybe not quite 2 years. This kind of thing needs to be ironed out much quicker than it is. But either way, this is just for fun anyway, so I suppose it doesn't really matter. But for tournaments and such, I'd be annoyed at the inconsistencies. Let's just put it that way. But anyway, let's look at the two sides. So like last time when Deacon Blackfire was on the table, at present at time of recording he has no equipment that you can buy with funding. So there's no upgrades to talk about, there's just the plethora of models. 12 models, meaning that the Bat family are going to have a bunch of passes. Well, 13 models if you count the totem, of course, which will be getting placed once the game starts. There will also be some out of deployment placements thanks to Jake being Deacon Blackfire's sidekick at the back there. Ratface is here, Young Woman is here. Then we have Underworlders, I think they're called. We'll just call them Murder Hobos, 1 through 6. And then new to the table, well, a couple of those Underworlders are new to the table, but also new to the table are the 2 shopping cart units they have, which are their fast movers. They're not really much more defensive, they're still weak defense stat-wise, but they have a bit more endurance. Not willpower though, so against a crew that's only doing stun damage, that's not necessarily an advantage. But they have some tricks, like the one over here is a hoarder that does interesting stuff based on discarding objective cards. It's also a way to shuffle some objective cards out of your hand. So there is some synergies here that we didn't see last time, thanks to having to drop a few of them for bringing the cult Batman instead, who did help, to be fair. But we've still got the crazy cat lady, we've still got the crazy Birdman, and they'll still be doing their cult shenanigans, generating 2 faith points at the top of the turn as long as Jake and Ratface are still on the table, and wanting to end a turn with as much faith as possible, otherwise the Deacon hurts himself. And here is the 5 minis going up against 12 in the Bat family team. And again, if this is incorrect, because if you make this in the app it's a perfectly legal list, but that's with the discount that the app applies when you're making a Bat family list. It isn't mentioned in the old team PDF, so if it is a legal list, it's only over by, I believe it's 4 rep or 5 rep, so it's not too terrible, but obviously this is the kind of thing you need to clean up. But anyway, we have the classic Batman, the new one, with his Robin, so there's a little bit of time-breaking shenanigans here, because this is Dick Grayson, but they go really well together, and hopefully we'll see that again today. Alfred is here, the Intel support Alfred, of course. Then we also have Ace, the doggo, and Batwoman, the old Batwoman miniature, until she gets a more recent upgrade. Upgrades wise, speaking of which, Batman's got an extra load of batarangs, handcuffs, and he's got his upgraded bat suit, which I think puts him at 9 endurance. Robin has handcuffs as well, and Alfred has reconnaissance. For the Intel support Alfred, it's just a perfect upgrade, honestly, because it gets him out of deployment super early, and he can't really be hurt directly, so it's great to have that, I think. And they'll be focusing on taking out the murder hobos as fast as possible. Forgot to mention, but they are in the red and black, and Deacon Blackfire's crew is down here in the yellow and black. And here we are with everything set up at deployment, with the game ready to start. Deacon Blackfire's cult is to your left, the Bat family is to your right. Deacon Blackfire will be going first and get ready for a lot of his activations in a row, I imagine. Thanks to all the passes, the Bat family can afford to wait, well, at least in the first turn. We can take a look at who is where, though. We have Batman, Robin, and Ace. Did I call him Bats earlier? Ironically, that's Marvel, either way. And Batwoman is up here with Audacity. Alfred, again, had reconnaissance, so you can deploy up to 8 inches outside of deployment, and he is down there. I just realised the objective cards that are being played this turn fell on the floor, so pardon me a moment. There we go. And then we can look over here for Deacon Blackfire's cult in a massive line, except the out of deployment people. So one of the shopping cart units has Audacity, Deacon Blackfire does, Ratface does, and so does Jake down there next to the crazy cat lady. Deacon Blackfire's totem is right here within 4 of a sewer marker. Oh, there's 1 extra sewer marker on the table because of Ratface, like last time. And the 3 hobos that were selected to deploy within 4 inches of a sewer marker are right over here. They're all basically the same stat line. All that differs is their melee weapon. Essentially, some do single stun, some do blood, etc. But they're all deployed here. With that, there is 2 objective cards being played, both phase 2s, both by Deacon Blackfire. Starting with what we saw last time, the Unworthy. Hopefully in focus. This is Jake's card, target an enemy model. That model is removed as a casualty. It is unfortunately being played on Ace, the good Boyle. So if he is taken out at some point in the game, this will score for 3. He's the weakest target, so it makes sense. I guess technically you could play on Alfred and just remove suspect markers, but then the Bat family could just not put down suspect markers. The other one being played is Ritual, a generic cult card, not specific to Deacon Blackfire. Have a friendly suspect marker within 6 inches of 3 other suspect markers, and if you do score it at the end of the turn, you remove 2 of the suspect markers used to score it. Simple as that. So with that, let's jump in and see what the murder hobos can do. So Deacon Blackfire activated the murder hobo right next to him, who has kind of like the desperate need for a hug, I guess is the nicest way to talk about his pose. He didn't have Audacity, he just moved up to touch the sewer grating, but then used the Inspire from his boss to put down a suspect marker. It is just outside of the 2 inches you have to give from deployment, and is basically setting up the start of having the pre-deployed hobos in the perfect position to make Ritual happen. And now it would be over to the Batman crew. They've got, what, let's see, they've got 5 miniatures to 12, so that's 7 Alfreds and Informer for another one, so they've got 8 passes. I think we'll be sticking with the Deacon for a while. So next it was one of the pre-deployed murder hobos from the sewer marker, the one on the left with the one-use broken bottle that I think does double bleed. But either way, he didn't have Audacity, so all he did was a movement action eventually, but he was within 8 of the Deacon, so he put down a suspect marker, again just trying to set up Ritual. And just so don't need to mention it constantly as it goes on, yes, we're remembering that if a friendly model puts down a suspect marker within 8 of the Deacon, that generates a faith point. As stated during setup, Ratface and Jake also generate faith at the top of the turn. So that's them up to 4 already, so the Deacon, assuming they don't spend any, is already safe from end of turn blood damage. The murder hobo moved over there. In the open, kind of, but do remember that Jake is the one holding the one gun in the entire crew, and it's a pretty scary gun actually. So that hobo is safer than it might appear. Oh, and if they do things that gain faith near the totem, you can instead put them on the totem, and then you can draw them from the totem to get more additional attack dice or defense dice later. For now though, they're all going to the Deacon. Another pass used, another murder hobo activated. This one down here chopping his dinner on the table there, I guess. He didn't have Audacity and he was not within the Inspire radius of Deacon Blackfire, just slight misplacement there. So all he did with his activation was put down a suspect marker, and then that is it. Couldn't do anything else. So for the cult, the young woman activated without Audacity. She was next to the Deacon and is a henchman, so she could have done something with her Inspire. Opted not to put down an objective marker, instead just move up 8 inches here, kind of backing up the murder hobo that's went forward. And she has, as a reminder, the 8-inch aura that forces you to use all your dice if you're doing a willpower roll, which might be relevant if the Deacon, or I think Jake has the ability as well, to do hypnosis / mind control for a turn. So surprisingly, the Bat family did actually do an activation. Alfred activated without Audacity, but he does have a radio. He did a movement action and has used that radio Inspire to put down a suspect marker out of line of sight of the murder hobo over here with the knife, scoring the Soldiers of Fortune card, Black Ops, which is one that the Bat family can use. Friendly model places a suspect marker within 8 inches of an enemy model that cannot draw line of sight to the friendly model or the suspect. So with all the groundwork Deacon Blackfire has been doing, this is still the first actual score of the game. Another simple murder hobo activation, one without Audacity and also just out of range of Inspire. The one at the front of the herd there has put down a suspect marker. That's the only thing they can do with their turn. But that does mean that little cluster of a kind of sideways diamond, if that remains at the end of the turn, that will mean Ritual scores. Now obviously there's a lot of fast people with back claws on the other side, so they can get over there if they want, but there is also some answers that the Deacon's side still has left, like fast moving trolley people for instance, and things like that. So the Bat family did activate again, and it was Ace that activated, the doggo with the target on his head for some reason. And he has an extra couple of inches of movement thanks to being an animal. He can hop over anything that's up to 2 inches in height. So he just hopped his way down here, using the table for cover, so that does mean if Jake wants to go after him, one, he's going to have to move further forwards, lose a couple of dice for that, and then also losing the cover. So it feels like he's pretty safe this turn. Anyway, then he did his big bark, whatever it's called. Is it just called bark? Bat bark, of course it's called bat bark. He did a bat bark on the young woman and the hobo next to her. Does enervating too, which is pretty nice. And during his turn, put into play was Cyber Attack, the other Soldier of Fortune card in the deck. So you pick 2 enemy suspect markers, roll 1d3 plus 2, reduce it at the end of each subsequent activation. If at least one of them is still in play when it hits 0, it scores for 2. And of course, 2 of the markers using or being used for the ritual were selected, so Deacon Blackfire is not going to get rid of them because he needs them. So he'll probably just accept that ritual is going to pay it with the 1 extra point as a result, but that's fine. Next activation for the cult was one of the few remaining models they have that doesn't have Audacity. It was the Crazy Birdman. He just moved up and too close to other suspect markers. He couldn't do anything with his Inspire, so he's just chilling by the totem. The Batted Man decided to spring into action, and this is one of the faster Batman models because it has 12 inches of movement. He shot down the table down here with Audacity, of course, and then did a few different things. He started, first of all, let's cover this in the proper order. He activated an I Work Best Alone was played. It's the Bird of Prey card, and the model is played on. Every time they put down a suspect marker, they add a number 1 to 6 on this. End of a turn, roll a die, and if it matches one of the numbers on the card, you score it. So that is in play. He moved down here. He chucked batarangs. He split his batarangs up. He threw 2 of them at the hobo in front of him and 1 at the hobo at the back here. They were both within 8. They all hit. They just needed 2s. And so this one is knocked out because they have willpower 4. And this one has taken half his endurance. Then he did 1 effort damage to himself in order to use Vigilante's work, which lets him do another manipulate, and he did it with a combination of detective to put down the suspect marker there, and in turn is going to put a 3 on I Work Best Alone. So you got a lot done there. Ratface activated for Deacon Blackfire's cult. He was down here next to Jake amongst the shipping containers here with Audacity. He dashed forwards his 10 inches, or not quite his full 10 inches, but enough to get just within 4 of the knocked out hobo over there, and as a special action made use of a role that quite a few that I think Jake has the role, so I don't know if Deacon Blackfire does, but either way he has a role called Served Well special action. You kill one of your own units within 4 as a casualty. You remove them as a casualty rather, and you might be wondering why do that. Well, it removes the potential chance of an arrest happening given how many of the Bat family were given handcuffs. It is within reason that they have and get them off the streets in that deck somewhere, so why not deny them some points? And just in general, even if it wasn't against the Bat family or anyone who can arrest, getting rid of them that way when they have a very low chance of waking up with 4 endurance, 4 willpower, it generates 1 faith point. Plus there is other ways to bring people back, as we saw last time, like the young lady can do it, although you need someone who's super low for them to stay on the table. But either way, that's what Ratface decided to do. Didn't do anything else with his tactical action, just wanted to get over there and remove that potential 3-pointer scoring if he gets arrested. Jake activated as a result of pass being used by the Bat family. He started by doing a special action under city command. You target a friendly within 8 within 4 of a sewer marker and tell them to use the sewer. He did so to the crazy cat lady who is popped out right there and can still activate as a normal turn without Audacity though. And then he moved up his 8 inches, well not quite his full 8 inches because he wanted to be outside of 4 of that suspect marker, so he could put down one of his own. Didn't want to move and shoot at a dog in cover, would not have a chance of killing him even if he got a perfect roll with the dice he had left. Second last activation for the Bat family in Battle Round 1 was Batwoman. She activated, used her Bat Claw as a special action, she had Audacity, hopped up onto the building and is right here on the tallest building, on the edge of the building there. She put down a suspect marker and did nothing else with her turn. But, sorry, again, forgot to mention this in order. The other, because there's only 2, I Work Best Alone was played prior at the top of her activation. She put down a suspect marker, so a 4 is being placed on this. So hers will score on a 4 at the end of the turn, and Batman's will score on a 3. The man himself, Deacon Blackfire, activated, leaving just the 2 trolley units left, one of which has Audacity. He moved up and he was surrounded by too many friendly suspect markers to put down one of his own, which means he couldn't spread the Hypnotize effect at range. You can do it in melee as well, but he has the ability to do it at range if he puts down a suspect marker, depending on the card you top deck. But anyway, what he actually did was just do a special action. He used Exalt. You pick 2 friendly models within 8 and line of sight that have the Blackfire Cultist keyword, which is everybody. They make a move up to 8 inches, and if you discard an attack type objective card, you can then attack with them. He did. He discarded an IC, which is the gun symbol there, that's what you're looking for. So that was discarded to let the models he moved attack. He moved Ratface and the wounded hobo down here with the grabby hands. He put them both against Batman, and he just tanked the blows. They're attack 2, attack 3. Now they do all have Death Pack as well, which means they get +1 to their rolls and 1 extra attack die if they're attacking someone in base to base with one of their friendlies already. So that did apply. It wasn't enough. This Batman, defense 5, bat armor, MK2, so no strength dice, and no handy. Not that they had handy, but no handy because they're Bat family, so everybody has Boy Wonder. So no, he was not. Neither of them were able to attack. During his turn, though, he did also play for 1 faith point, bringing him down to 5. He played Tempted to Despair as the faith point spend, which is not in focus. Apologies, I think it's getting there. Move 4 inches. It's not written well. Move 4 inches, a sewer or friendly marker. So he picked the sewer marker that had been behind the young lady, and it is now over by her for future potential scoring. If he was willing to pump in 3 more faith points, after moving the marker, you can place a model that was previously killed back in play. Opted not to do that yet, but it is an option going forwards. I did forget to mention, but Cyber Attack has now scored, so that's the second card scored for the Bat family, and still none scored for the Cult. So it was time for the final activation for the Bat family. Robin activated, and this just goes to show how fragile the Deacon Blackfire crew is, but also just how really good this new Batman and Robin combo is. Like, they're really good together. He ran down here and then as a special action used support Batman, so you make a Batman within 8 in line of sight do an action. He made Batman do an attack action with his reinforced gloves Master Fighter. He put his strength die into the already semi-knocked out hobo. The strength die went through, of course, knocked him out. The rest of the punches went into Ratface. He did 10 stun, so Ratface is also knocked out. There is some regret with charging them in. And then for his actual tactical action, he chucked his own Batarangs at the hobo over here, doing 6 stun and knocking him out as well. And also meaning, well actually I don't know if Deacon Blackfire can use Jake as a Protect Me, but the easy target for Protect Me is now gone from over there, so Jake Young Woman and the Deacon are a bit more exposed. Well actually no, the Deacon still has the crazy Birdman there. But either way, during the turn then, he scored They Must Know Pain. Or you can say Batman did as well, honestly. They both did enough to... Oh actually no, Robin didn't because it was a ranged attack. So only Batman did, but it does score for 1. So we've got 3 activations for Deacon Blackfire to take us to the end of battle round 1. Starting with the crazy cat lady who had been moved through a sewer earlier by Jake. No audacity, but close enough to the Deacon for an inspired manipulate, which she's using after moving up there to remove the assessment marker under Robin. I think this Robin doesn't have the rule that lets you stop people doing that. It's Burt Ward, Robin that does that. I'll double check between takes though. But in removing that, which will be very awkward and annoying, but we'll do it in a second, she will score an IC. A friendly model that has used a sewer marker this round reveals an enemy assessment marker, so that is Deacon Blackfire's first actual scored card. So of the 2 shopping trolley units, this one activated first, and because of that nice oblong, oval, whatever base, he actually was within 8 of Deacon Blackfire just barely, so he had a free inspired manipulate, but after moving up he couldn't really do anything with it because there's too many assessment markers and clutter around there to do anything, so he just moved. But during his turn, for the cost of 1 faith point, where the trail ended was spent for its faith usage. Target a friendly model that has been removed as a casualty with the rank henchman and ex-cultist and horde traits. Place it in your deployment zone with no damage. It can't activate this round, and if you bunged in an extra 2 points, it could also be deployed in contact with a sewer marker instead of your deployment zone. So welcome back to the fray. That particular hobo, he's got the horde roll, etc. So he is back, not getting a turn, but that's okay. And to end the turn, we're going down to this lady down here. So there wasn't much else that final unit wanted to do this turn. She does have a special rule called Hoarder, where you discard a card from your hand and based on the type, different things happen. The one she wanted to do isn't really applicable right now and will serve better later. So she just moved up into a better position here, surrounded by friends and near at home. During her turn though, this is the evil was put into effect, the Deacon Blackfire card, of which there is multiple in the deck. When a model gains faith within 4 inches of the totem, you place a stun marker on this card, and when it has at least 4, you score it for 2. You can only have 1 in play at a time. So with that, we are done with the turn and going into the cleanup. So at the end of a fairly lengthy battle round 1, none of the unconscious murder hobos are waking up, so the one with the bottle over there, Ratface, and also the grabby hands one there, none of them have woke up. There is no additional cards being played, but we do have some checking to do. For one, Ritual does score, because the Bat family didn't bother trying to interrupt it, so it has scored for 3, and the 2 suspect markers being removed are this one and this one right here. Oh, sorry, no, not this one right here. This one. It's important. Those 2, they are gone. Ritual has scored. Now we need to roll a die for the 2 I Work Best Alones on a 3 or a 4. Nope, never mind. They both stay in play though, and they can have other numbers added to them depending on what Batwoman and Batman do. But with that, let's jump into Battle Round 2. Top of Battle Round 2 with a big cluster in the middle where there's going to be a lot more punching, I would imagine. Surprisingly, no one, the Bat family, rather, not the Batman crew, the Bat family have taken first activation. I think they had 4 unused passes there. It was 4 or 5. So they're getting priority. If they want, of course, they could do passes. Although with the scrum happening here, I don't suppose they will. There is a Phase 2 card being played by each side this time. A second ritual is being put into play by Deacon Blackfire's cult, so they'll once again be trying to get those suspect markers placed down in correct spacing. And an Unveiling the Truth is being put into play by the Bat family. It's being played on Batman, so this will be adding stun markers every time he reveals a enemy suspect marker that was cleared up in the FAQ. It has to be the enemy ones. So who has the nasty? Batman, Robin, the dog, Ace, and Batwoman. Only Alfred doesn't, but he's got a radio, and again his intel support. Oh, speaking of which, he did take 1 damage. Forgot to mention that when the suspect marker got revealed by the crazy cat lady. For Deacon Blackfire's cult, the Deacon himself has Audacity. The shopping cart that's more focused on combat does. The crazy Birdman and Jake do as well. So with that, I think I covered everything. There's a bunch of cards. Oh, actually no, I didn't. The Favorite Follower rule does not state that the person has to be conscious. They just have to be on the table. So Jake still generated 1 faith point at the top of the turn. So did Ratface, and he did it within 4 of the totem. So that's 1 on This Is Evil. Or This Is the Evil, sorry. Can't see anything that says that isn't how it works. Favorite Follower does not say they have to be conscious to generate the 1 faith. So that does also mean Deacon Blackfire was fine. Yeah, he would have taken 2 blood at the end of turn 1. At the end of the turn now, turn 2, he would take 4 blood. So they need to try and make sure they have at least 4 faith points saved up. They're currently sitting on 6 now as we go into the first activation. So Battle Round 2 got started with Batman activating because he had stuff to do. He started by using those handcuffs from funding to arrest Ratface, who is now off the table, in order to get them off the streets. And that used up his special action, but it's worth it for 3. So, ironically, Ratface was only in there because he tried to deny that card. Then he did a movement action. He ran over here after the Deacon because of a shocking realization. Deacon Blackfire does not have Protect Me. Jake does, and Young Woman does, but that's it. The Deacon himself does not. He's fairly sturdy though. So Batman went after him. The 1 effort there is not from combat. Deacon Blackfire does have the Don't Mind Me roll, as do everyone, I think, for the cult. So he had 3 free efforts. All said and done, 2 punches got through. 1 was a strength die for 4 stunned him. He's fine though. He's got willpower 9, I think. I think he's a 9-8. The 1 effort though for Batman came from him once again using Vigilante's work, and because he was within 8 of Ace, he could use Ace's role. I think it's called like a detective's best friend. It means you can use him when using the detective trait to place a suspect marker. So he placed 1 down there in order to put another number on his I Work Best Alone. So now Batman's version of that card will score on a 3 or a 4. So we're actually midway through Deacon Blackfire's turn when realising a mistake that was made. I was sure that Deacon Blackfire had a method to protect me. It isn't his rule, it's just a cult generic rule, where the cult boss can spend 1 faith to have a friendly henchman within range suffer the damage, although any excess would go back to him. So we're pausing Deacon Blackfire's turn midway to kind of undo the end of the Batman's turn there, in that Deacon Blackfire spent 1 faith, bring him down to 5, to place the damage on the Birdman, who is now unconscious, but he took the entire damage because he has 4 willpower. And that also means that during Batman's turn, Full Devotion was scored by the cult. Friendly model with the rank of henchman within 4 of a friendly suspect marker suffers KO or is removed as casualty as a result of taking damage on behalf of a friendly boss. Suspect marker, right there. So we will be back with the rest of Deacon Blackfire's turn in a moment. So far all he's done is spent his special action on Exalt, and has as a result moved this hobo up from where he spawned, and then also moved the shopping cart 1 in the way here, kind of to run interference with that huge base. But he's still got a movement action and a tactical action, so we'll be back in a second. Alright, the rest of the Deacon's turn is done. First tactical action, he attacked Batman using drugs, which doesn't do any damage, but if it gets through, which it did on the strength die alone, just rolled that and it was a crit, so it went through. It does a bunch of stuff. It does Enervating 3, it does Steal, so he has to show his hand, you discard a card, so getting them off the streets has been discarded, so that denies 3 points which could have been easily scored with Robin's activation. And Hypnotize, so he gets to do 2 actions with Batman. Now he sent Batman after Ace in order to try and work towards the unworthy scoring. You get 2 free efforts for the Hypnotize and you attack. Batman did, but he clearly did not want to hurt his dog, because this is the attack roll right there. Even with Master Fighter applied, he could not hurt Ace. He blocked the 1 normal die that got through. So Batman really didn't want to hurt his dog. Afterwards, Deacon Blackfire has fled over to partially on top of the Sir Graying right there. So we're just going back and forth because Ace activated after almost being smacked in the head by Batman, hopped the wall and went after Jake into base to base with him, because Jake's gun does not have light, so he can't use it in close combat, so it gives him a little bit of protection. He used his free Inspired Manipulate, because in a team your boss inspires everybody regardless of rank, to remove the suspect marker that was there in order to score a comb through everything. I guess he ate the evidence, scores that for 2, and then he tried to attack Jake with his teeth and claws or whatever it is. Blood stun with slow 4. His attack roll was almost as bad as the one Batman just did, honestly, almost literally identical, just with less dice. And as a result, Jake fully blocked the damage, no efforts made, because Jake was just going to effort it off of him anyway. The recently respawned Hobo activated for Deacon Blackfire's cult and used the Inspired Manipulate from the Deacon himself over there to put down a suspect marker within 8, so he generated 1 faith point, which also means he was within 4 of the totem, and as a result put 1 more pip on This Is the Evil. That's 2 of 4 now. He then, for his actual action, just did a move into base to base with Ace, so the Death Pack will be proccing for anyone who attacks him. Alfred activated again without Audacity, but he wandered round the corner his 8 inches, then using that radio back at the Batcave, he somehow managed to, from there, destroy this poor hobo's lunch, i.e. the suspect marker he put down that was trying to cut up, and as a result scored Confusion, the generic card Confusion. Reveal 1 enemy suspect marker within 8 of the enemy deployment zone, which he did. So it was Operation Gang Up on the Dog for Deacon Blackfire. The cultists in the shopping trolley, what are their actual names? Underworlder Wagon 2. Murder Hobo Wagon 2. They activated, moved back here to also get into base to base with Ace. That oval base is doing a lot of work for them, because they are just within 4 inches of that friendly suspect marker. They're very closely measured. It is literally millimeter, like perfect, that it is just in, because otherwise it couldn't fit. So he got in there and they are attacking. They have a rule called Inertia, where if they've done a movement action they get +2 to their strength roll, making it rather than a 5+, a 3+. They're also devastating, so they roll 2 strength dice. And his basic attacks are Blood Stun, it's got Handy, Sharp, etc, but they're immune to Handy because it's Bat Family. All said and done though, with no efforts on either side, they did manage to get 2 hits through for 2 blood, 2 stun. It was both strength dice and one of them was a crit. And they have blunt too, so that's 2 more stun damage. Not enough to take Ace out. He's a 5/5 mini, almost knocked out, but for the unworthy to proc he has to be a casualty. Either way though, it does score the generic cult card barely. Sacrifice, friendly model within 4 inches of a friendly suspect marker inflicts at least 1 blood, which he did, and again it is perfectly 4 inches. Second last activation for the Bat Family was Robin. He had to move ever so slightly to get into base to base with the Grabby Hands Hobo to use his handcuffs to arrest him, and they did manage to get into their hand, another get them off the streets, which has scored for a massive 3. He then chucked the last of his Batarangs into the crazy cat lady, who has not had time to put down a suspect marker yet, and unfortunately got 2 hits out of the 3, 4, and she's unconscious as well, because everybody is 4/4. She has to be with the removal of the Hobo here though, for being within the totem radius. When he goes, he generates 1 faith, so that's the 3rd marker on This Is the Evil. Young woman aka Sally activated for the Blackfire cult. No Audacity, but close to Jake, and he is a lieutenant for the Deacon and has a aura of Inspire as well. She moved up and used that to put down a suspect marker right where you can see just there, just outside of 4 of this one there. Now she's too far away from the Deacon unfortunately. No, actually maybe she's not. Doesn't look like 8 inches. You know, let's measure it live. I thought it wasn't, but now that I'm looking at it, she is totally within 8 of him. Yeah, she is. That is within 8, so never mind. She was within 8, which means she generates 1 faith point, and that brings them to 8. But more importantly, that scores, I can't find the 2 on this die, there we are, that scores, this is the evil for 2, so she actually did more with her turn than I realised. Last activation of the turn for the Bat family was Batwoman up on the building here. She glided down to the ground with her Bat Cape, which also means air combat kicks in for her, giving her a +1 to her strength and attack dice rolls for the turn, and makes her crit on a 4+ instead of on a 6. She engaged with her double stun, crit stun, stunned, as in the status effect stunned. It's confusing when you also do stun damage. Anyway, on the shopping trolley hobos here, she efforted twice, she lost 1 die to their light armor. They've already attacked, so they didn't have Don't Mind Me, and she did 10 stun to them, which makes them unconscious because they actually have a healthy endurance. They have 8 endurance, only 6 only. It's high for their crew. 6 willpower, very much unconscious. And with the damage she did, they couldn't see her at the start of her turn, so they won't see me coming, scores for 1. More than that though, she didn't use her special action, and she has built-in handcuffs. She's got the arrest rule, so this hobo is out of here. They're gone. They were doing pretty well. That is another faith point generated. They're up to 679 now, I think. But that's the Bat family done for the turn. So we still have Jake, we still have, who's not unconscious, the hobo over here, and the other shopping trolley. So we're going to cover 2 out of 3 of those final activations in turn 2 for the Deacon. The murder hobo over here simply replaced the suspect marker that Alfred took away earlier in the turn with the free inspire from the Deacon, and then moved over here to act as a kind of protect me damage sponge. And the other shopping cart unit put down a suspect marker there, making use of that oval base in order to set up the ritual circle again, essentially, and then just moved over here again to kind of be an ablative wound for Jake if need be. So it is just over to Jake to end the turn. Not 100% sure what to do with him yet. Going to be back in a second to see what the decision is. So Jake decided to go for it. He backed off in order to use his double blood firearm against poor Ace. 4 rate of fire, so 5 dice plus a strength die, but he moved so he loses that plus 1 normal one. So 3 dice, each with a 50-50 chance of getting through. He needed 2 of them to do so against the defense 4, and they did for 4 blood. With the 2 he suffered earlier, unfortunately, poor Ace is out of there, scoring from the hand, tempted to despair. Remove an enemy model as a casualty within 4 inches of a sewer marker, which happened. I'm not sure if that's related to 4 inches from the casualty or 4 inches from the person who did it, but either way in this case it's true, because there's a sewer marker there within 4 of Jake, and Ace was standing on 1. And also it scores the unworthy, which was already in play, so you can score a different card because this was already in play. So that is 6 points right there for what Jake just did, and that makes back a lot of ground. So at the end of battle round 2, none of the unconscious murder hobos are waking up. That's 3 of them staying in the dirt. That's the downside to this crew. They fold like paper, especially against Bat family members. So they're all staying in the dirt, but their ritual card that was in play does score once again, and you have to remove 2 out of the 4 used for it. And the 2 of the 4 that are being removed is this one and this one this time. So those are out of there. Ritual scores for 3. For the Bat family, the cards in play, Unveiling Truth just stays in play. Batman didn't do anything towards it. We do need to roll a die though to see if either or both of those I Were Best Alone score. Okay, well, it was a 3, so both of them score. Oh, actually, no, sorry, no, only one of them scores. The Batman one does. They both had a 4 on them. So only the Batman version of the card has scored. The Batwoman version stays in play. And with that, we're going to battle round 3. So we're at the top of round 3. The 4 surviving Bat family members on the table all have Audacity, obviously, for Deacon Blackfire. Young Woman does, the Deacon himself does, Jake does, and the other trolley unit does as well. There is one phase 2 being played. It is another unveiling. Oh, actually, you know what? It can't be played because there can only be one in play at a time. So never mind. That is not in play, in fact, because the other one is still stuck in play with nothing on it, with no chance to score currently. The Bat family has taken first activation again, unless they decide to pass. So with that, let's get on with it. So Batman got the round started running down here between all the Deacon's units, fitting himself in somewhat awkwardly because of the cape billowing over the edge of the base, but whatever. He used Vigilante's work, that's why he has 1 effort, to remove the suspect marker, to put 2 on Unveiling the Truth, and then then he used a special action. He is arresting the poor Birdman, who generates 1 faith point in doing so. Oh, for using Vigilante's work to remove that suspect marker, incidentally, he scores following the clues. Reveal an enemy suspect marker 10 inches away from the gaming table edges with a model with a detective trait. He has the detective trait. Now, unfortunately, he did also have Enervating 3, which was opted to be used, and because this trolley lady has not attacked yet, she has 3 free efforts, so his attack dice were reduced down to 0 when he initiated attack against her, but at least that got rid of the Enervating 3. So, steadily running out of activations with the Bat family breathing down their neck, Deacon Blackfire himself activated. He pulled back over here, revealed his own suspect marker, the one that was in front of Alfred there, and turned it into loot. Last possible turn to do so, so he's holding on to that now, hopefully for the end of the game if he wants to score 3 points. He then used Exalt again to move Jake and the knife-wielding hobo that was there originally right back there, so he's got a little bit of protection for the both of them, and to try and get them away from Batwoman activating. Robin activated and did eventually shuffle to where you can see him, or partially see him because he's not side on. There we go. To where you can see him in contact with the unconscious crazy cat lady, but more importantly the suspect marker that was there, which he removed in order to score comb through everything for 2. But before he moved, as a special action, he shouted at Batman, "Hey, do something cool," and unfortunately his mentor did not initiate attack against the trolley again. Her getting 3 free efforts, he put in none this time, but he was still getting 3 dice, and it was a whiff, even with the +1 from Master Fighter. Just an utter whiff, so he did nothing, but at least another score there. The hobo down here was acting as protection for Jake and Deacon Blackfire activated without audacity. He just used his inspired manipulate, or his own tactical action, why not, to put down a suspect marker and score a where the trail ended. A friendly model places a suspect marker within 4 inches of a sewer marker. Easy 2 points. Batwoman activated, ending the penultimate turn for the Bat family, moved into base to base with these 2 murder hobos, used her special action to arrest the one that's been unconscious for since turn 1, scoring another, get them off the streets for a massive 3. They're just kids in a candy store with such weak models, very easy to arrest. She then attacked with her double stun with the stun on crits. Gloves against the other murder hobo here. She efforted 3 times to counter his free 3 efforts because he hasn't attacked this game, but didn't matter. Still managed to do 8 stun, knocking him unconscious as well. So I was forgetting, of course, that Alfred hasn't activated yet, but it was still Deacon Blackfire's activation. Young woman activated, just moved her 8 inches up here, and during her turn put into play a second "This is the Evil," but didn't do anything else with her turn. Oh, scratch that, she is going to put down a suspect marker because why not? However, that also reminded me, forgot to mention, when Robin removed the suspect marker there during his turn, that meant there was only 1 Deacon Blackfire suspect marker on the table at that point, which means at that point, the Unveiling the Truth in play for Batman did score, so that is now gone and scored. So there wasn't much for Alfred to do really, so all he did was move 8 inches over here just to try and set up potential scores in the final turn. So that leaves the trolley murder hobo and Jake himself for the Deacon's side. We'll see what they can do and be back in a second. So Jake eventually ended up running away back down here, but that wasn't before using up the last of his ammunition to shoot into Batman, losing the strength out to his bat armor, but everything else rolling as normal. 4 rate of fire, needing 5s though, and he just couldn't pierce the defense 5. Did 0 damage. So that just leaves the trolley hobo here, and all she's doing is going to that sewer grating, manipulating it, and popping out down here somewhere, probably like there-ish. And that's all she's doing, because can't score anything. So that takes us to the end, the battle round 3 right there. So at the end of the penultimate round, battle round 3, there is no additional cards being played. The crazy cat lady, not getting a game this time, she is not waking up. However, the murder hobo that Batwoman knocked out has woken up, so he's conscious on the floor with 1 stun remaining. The Our Best Alone in play for Batwoman has a 1 in 6 chance of scoring on a 4. Nope, that's 2 6s have been rolled for that, should have picked 6. But it doesn't score. In play for the cult is still viable commodities, and the second "This is the Evil." And with that, into the final round. Dawn of the final day, top of battle round 4, and Deacon Blackfire's cult have stolen first activation, so they will be activating, and they're putting 1 card into play. They are putting their Die Hard into play, and it's being played on the trolley hobo that scarpered at the end of last turn. The Bat family are also playing their Die Hard, and it's being played on Robin. They are also putting into play another Unveiling the Truth. It is being placed on Batman. And with that, it'll be a quick final turn, I think, because there's not many activations really, or ones that can score, so let's do it. So a bit of an awkward angle this, but in order to make sure that Die Hard scores, the trolley hobo is just hiding. She should technically be right on the corner of a table, just not putting her there because of the cards. It is possible that someone with the bat claw might be able to get to her. Batman might be able to, although he doesn't have any batarangs left, I think. But either way, she's just hiding down there. Didn't bother looking out all the damage markers because just the strength die was enough. Batwoman activated and has re-knocked out the hobo, whom she is then arresting. Knockout, she would have done stun because it was a crit anyway, but either way, she scored an I'm feeling weird for 2. And then to maintain her Die Hard, she is just running over here somewhere, just so that she's totally safe as well. So 1-2 punch from Deacon Blackfire's cult. Jake activated, went to the sewer marker there, interacted with it, but not before playing for 1 faith point an IC, which lets him use the sewer marker and keep going with any leftover movement and carry on doing actions, etc. To get into base to base with the Batman suspect marker that was over there in front of the door, and in removing it, scored another IC. So that one was done as a faith point spend. This one is actually scored for removing a suspect marker after using a sewer in your turn. Alright, as we close in on the end of the match, Robin activated and ran down here to go after the hobo, who was the last line of defense for Deacon Blackfire, essentially. He efforted 3 times to counter the 3 free efforts he was getting, and managed to do 6 stun and knock him out. Rather than use his handcuffs, because there's no point in the final round really, he instead used support Batman to get Batman to make a move, and ran down here to force the Deacon to either fight him or run. Well, when faced with the bat of sound mind, Deacon Blackfire decided that the better course of action was to run away, bravely. So he ran his 10 inches back here, and he put down a suspect marker just to make sure that Unveiling the Truth isn't going to score depending on what Batman does, because that puts the Deacon Blackfire suspect markers at 3 with young women still left to go, so they could make it 4. So that ain't going to score, but he didn't see much hope in taking Batman out, so that seemed like the best bet to deny points. Couldn't score any of his own cards. His game is essentially done. It's just over to Batman, really. So before Batman activated, it was actually Alfred who activated. He moved 8 inches right back, basically where he was, right up against the table. Now he did put down a suspect marker, but that one is being removed, as is this one here. It is within 4, as the crow flies, and he's using his special action Batcave support. So for each friendly suspect marker he removes within 4, he targets a friendly, and they gain that many attack or defense markers. He's giving 2 extra attack markers to Batman, and with that it would be over to young lady. There's nothing she can do to score anything. She would just need to move to deny points, put down a suspect marker, so we can say she's done that. All that really matters is, can Batman go take out the Deacon? What a way to finish a match. Batman charged into Deacon Blackfire, efforted 3 times, also getting 2 extra dice from the buff Alfred just gave him. He was rolling 10 dice in total. Deacon Blackfire's defense 3. He blocked 2, which was pretty good, of the 10 dice against him, meaning that only 16 stun got through against him. So he is very, very unconscious. The Bat has won the day, and again, perfect card to end the game on. He scores back to Arkham for making the opponent KO. Although actually no, he's immoral, so this would not score on him. You can't do that. That's a shame. He's been robbed at the last second of a perfect finish to a match, but no, Deacon Blackfire counts as immoral, so he can't be classed as a casualty. Although he's KO'd actually. I don't think immortal counters KO. I think it's only casualty, so actually this will score, never mind. It scores. It scores with that. It also denies the loot, but we can cover that in the final cleanup phase. So at the end of the game we have some cards in play to cover. This is the Evil, does not score. Nothing happened around the totem that turn. The Die Hard does score for Deacon Blackfire's crew, so they scored 2 there. But as just discussed, with Deacon going down, Valuable Commodities does not score, so that's also discarded. Double check the wording for Immortal, by the way, and yes, it is casualty only. So for instance, if you arrested him, that wouldn't count for get them off the streets. It does count for knocking him out though, so back to Arkham does score. Of the cards in play for the Batman crew, Unveiling the Truth does not score. He could have used Vigilante's work to put down a suspect marker, wouldn't have made a difference, it would still not have scored. Their Die Hard scores, because Batwoman is okay. And if this is a 4, they'll score another card. Oh, so close, saw it there for a second, but no. The other I Were Best Alone is also discarded. Let's go see who's won. Well, I can tell you right now, one pile is decisively larger than the other. Let's start with the Batman crew then and see what they have scored. So that is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 32, 34. A very, very good score. 34. I don't think the Deacon Blackfire crew are going to come close to that. But let's see. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Honestly, normally 26 would be a really good score as well. But the Bat family could just kind of run away with it against them because it's so easy for them to just cut swaths through the hobo lines and just take them out and arrest them and split their attacks and punches and whatnot to knock out multiple per turn. And especially like the what are they called? Classic Batman and Robin. They work so well. They're really, really powerful, those two together. And they didn't really have the means by which to like take Robin out, which would make Batman less effective because he isn't getting a free action per turn. But yeah, the Bat family, very effective against Deacon Blackfire. But honestly, two really good scores. Like the cult should not be ashamed of that score. That is a good score. And in the face of adversity of losing like a minimum of 2 models per turn, I think they did pretty well. It takes way too long to play as them though. I've considered having a Joker Horde army on the channel. You know, like all the models he has now that you can have 3 of can do like, you could have a 350 rep crew that has at least 20 models in it. It's too much. Don't even know, it might be super effective, it might be amazingly good, but it's too much. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I sincerely hope you enjoyed. Please do remember to show your support. And if you'd like to go above and beyond to support what we do here, please consider pressing the thanks button or becoming a channel member. It would help out a great deal. It's all reinvested in the channel. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Ta for now.